This is a podcast or something like that. Whoa, we are starting off with breaking news. I periodically check Magnus Carlsen's social media pages to see if he's stopped calling himself the World Chess Champion. I know if you've listened to this, you've heard me talk about it before. So on Twitter, he still calls himself World Chess Champion. He has not been for over a year. He abdicated the title, and then it was fought out between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Ding Liren. And Magnus is no longer the World Chess Champion, but he still calls himself it on Twitter, World Chess Champion. Then he calls himself it on YouTube. This is the official YouTube home of the World Chess Champion. So he says the World Chess Champion. So there he doesn't even say just World Chess Champion, which is what everyone on Reddit was saying when I finally, did the stupid decision of confronting the chess Reddit with Magnus's misdeeds here. But he says, everyone was like, oh, but it's a World Chess Champion, a World Chess. No, he says the on YouTube. This is the official YouTube home of the World Chess Champion. Okay, Instagram, World Chess Champion and the highest rated player of all time. Then he lists his 5 trophies. But it says World Chess Champion. But I just realized breaking news, everybody. On Facebook, Magnus Carlsen says 5-time World Chess Champion and highest ranked player in the world, which he is the highest ranked player. That's indisputable. But he says on Facebook the correct thing. He says on Facebook 5-time World Chess Champion instead of like he does on all the other ones where he just says World Chess Champion or the World Chess Champion. Keep in mind, that's just a protected title. It's like calling yourself a therapist. You can't just do that if you're not a therapist. Like, World Chess Champion means FIDE Classical World Chess Champion. If one day it doesn't mean that, great. But that's what it means. And it does mean classical. That's just what it has meant, I guess I should say. And so... wow, we have amazing breaking news for the podcast. I've been covering this, and to be fair, it's not breaking news because I didn't, it's just that I've never checked Facebook. It's not that it changed. The breaking news will be one day, and this day will come. I promise you all. You're like, please, man, stop talking about this. I don't care. It's the public episode. You don't have to start the episode with this, is what you're thinking. But look, one day... he's going to take it out of his bio. He's going to change it in his bio. He's going to call up his social media team and be like, look, you change it. That's my impression of Magnus. I don't do impressions. But I was just trying to get the vibe across. He's going to call them up. He's going to be like, after, let's say the World Chess Champion title is retained by Ding or something when he plays Gukesh Domraju very soon. That will be maybe Magnus's wake-up call. So maybe he'll say, okay, I'm no longer the World Chess Champion. But wow, okay, so 1 out of 4 is not bad. So good job, Magnus. Progress, subjectively. Even though you haven't changed anything, presumably, and that's just the way it's been listed on your social media. Subjectively, from my perspective, in terms of the progression of time and what I experienced through my sensory, situation, that's progress. So good job, Magnus. Hello, welcome to the Verbal Journal podcast. This is episode 71. You're here listening publicly. So you probably have never listened to this before, or you've listened to one episode. And you're like, hey, the last one was video, is what a lot of people are maybe actually thinking. Usually I say that as a joke. Oh, this is what you're thinking. That's actually what you're thinking. You're like, oh, it was a video last time. That was so nice. I got to experience the audio visual stuff. We were talking about the word audio visual. Why did we change that? Why are we no longer video? Well, I think I explained this, but it's not going to be video every time. Because if I do a podcast every week, and I'm going to make one in public every month. And I want to also do a video podcast. I guess I could sort of do it every month, or I want to do a video podcast maybe, every month or two. But I can't just have the video podcast always be the public one, because that's actually the better thing. You know what I mean? So I have to alternate which one's the video. So now I'm doing a public one. That, if you're listening, you're like, oh, thank you for doing this. This is so interesting. And I needed to listen to this. And, I'm doing a public one, but it's not video. It's just going to be public. And if you've listened to if you haven't listened to this before, this is a podcast, as you heard from the intro. So I don't know what else is needed to be said. I record every Sunday. We have a lot of running commentary that's been extremely pivotal. I don't know. It's kind of weird to exist as a podcast when you have the majority of your content paywalled. That's unusual, right? Normally you wouldn't have, because at first this was just a side thing and I was making videos more. But, well, actually, no, that's not true. This podcast never existed while I was making videos. Oh, yeah, it did. Of course it did. What am I talking about? It existed while I was making the Breaking Bad video. So video, not videos. But, that was interesting. But so it was a side thing. Now it's the only real content I'm putting out. So it's funny to have it all paywalled. So that's why I'm starting to do these monthly public episodes. And, so that was probably a good introduction, sort of an unorthodox introduction. Now that I do timestamps, I don't know what I'll decide. I'll probably have to do surprise Magnus update in the beginning. Yeah, that's good. I don't need to work this out verbally. Okay, but what we do work out verbally is a lot of other things here on the podcast, on the VJP. I talk every Sunday because there's a lot to check in about. There's a lot of journalizing to do. I do keep regular journals. I write in regular journals. I have a journal for just my thoughts and my feelings. That is nice. I believe that, that's a Shinola journal. You may remember this is a callback. If you remember this reference, you've been watching this channel so long, which very few people have. But I used to try to get sponsored by this American, good sort of, I guess they're like a leather company. I don't really know what they are. So I don't know. Vegans. Basically, I got canceled by vegans for this. No, I'm just kidding. I just got no attention. But I was trying to get this company because they design really nice journals. And I was like, that would be, I'm a therapist. I talk about journaling all the time. You should sponsor me. That would be great. I didn't try that hard. I never reached out to the company. it was more of a joke. If you're listening and you work for Shinola, talk to your supervisor and, say, hey, there's this guy on YouTube and he, cause I would legit, that's the one sponsorship I would take, that and Raytheon. So I would definitely want to consider that. But I write in my thoughts and feelings and my thoughts and my feelings. I feel like there's another one. My thoughts and my feelings and my thoughts. The feelings that sort of become thoughts as you're feeling them. That was what I was trying to think of. So public episode and but yeah, at the end of the day, podcasts, in my day, podcasts were audio. So I just want to say that I'm a little bit older than some people. And in my day, podcasts were an audio medium. It was, if someone was like, oh, I blank a podcast, the blank would be listen to, not watch. I watch a podcast is now how people talk. What podcast do you watch? People say. That's a common thing that people say. I hear that a lot. So back in my day, they were audio. How do you feel about the title style change? That was a big thing that I talked about on the last episode because we have a new title style. And instead of saying verbal journal episode blank title, it's title dash verbal journal episode blank. I think it's great. And I think it's the truth is spoken to in the fact that episode 70 has 10 views on YouTube or listens. YouTube doesn't know. And on and episode 69 has 8 views or listens on YouTube. So that's 2 more. And I don't know from Patreon. Obviously, we talk about that. Patreon doesn't want me to know stuff like that. How many people listen to the audio file? They would have no way of tracking that. You know what I mean? How could they possibly know? But yeah, so I think getting the more listens is because, more people. Also, more people. A bunch of people were gifted memberships on the recent stream by a very generous supporter, a patron of the channel, and not like Patron, but like old fashioned. A patron of the arts. That's always been my dream, is for rich people to give me money for making art. If I'm being totally honest, that's been my deepest dream for, in selfish dreams, not like dreams for the world. But yeah, I've always thought, isn't that how it works? Aren't they supposed to just give money to artists to make art? So I think that's so far I'm not proven completely wrong. So, working on it. Anyways, I did, what's the word I'm looking for? Not pussyfooted. Are you allowed to say that anymore? Pussyfooted? Also, is that even the past tense of the word? Is it pussy? Oh, fuck. Never mind. Okay. Anyways, I sort of, I waffled a little bit. Why are all these words weird? Why are all the words for this behavior strange? What's another one? I was gonna say like sisyphist. No, that's not a word. Anyways, I waffled a little bit about whether I would do parentheses or dash for the title. Will the verbal journal episode blank be in parentheses? Will it be in a dash? I thought I was going to do parentheses, but I ended up feeling that it was too passive. It was sort of like I was trying to hide the podcast name and the episode number, which I'm not. I'm trying to shout it from the mountaintops. It is episode 71. I've been doing this for a year and a half, and this is a really great weekly thing that now it's basically started as more of a joke. And anyways, it's no joke at all now. And little update on the staffing here at VJP Productions. Longtime listeners will know there's been a back and forth. I've been fairly independent, working as the talent here on the mic. I've been able to, have a lot of creative control. There's been some helpful additions of colleagues and coworkers. We got Reginald the Data Guy, of course. He often provides data, and we'll be hearing from him a little bit later in the episode. No? Okay, no, never mind. No, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, he doesn't have anything for us today. What have you... Yeah, no, that's fine, Reginald, because you often bring really great stuff. We'd love to hear what you have to say about, different data and stuff. You had that whole episode all to yourself, the Reginald the Data Guy episode, where you furnished so much data for us. Just out of curiosity, when on a week like today, when you are not necessarily bringing something to the table, so to speak, is that for a particular reason that you would feel like sort of naming or speaking to in any regard, or is that sort of more of a is that just like a I guess what I'm saying is why don't you have anything? Why don't you have anything for us here? Or not that we need to talk about it right now. Should we talk about it later? Okay, we'll talk about it later. You can think of an excuse. But yeah, so anyways, Reginald is great. And then actually even more new to the staff. They're both newer and more higher up somehow. Normally that works as sort of a not a direct correlation. Normally that would be more of an opposite correlation. Is that there's a better word for what I'm looking for, but normally those would go in opposite directions. When someone's newer to a production, normally they would be lower down rather than higher up on the hierarchy. Normally it'd be a lowerarchy for them, if you know what I mean. But obviously the person I'm introducing is our producer, Donna, who is here. And you may be thinking, well, they're here. That's not interesting. Obviously, the producer's here. Well, right, Donna? How was the trip? Okay. Yeah, so Donna decided to come back finally. 3 weeks off, give or take. Okay. And they had a good trip, I'm sure, while we were sort of putting out several episodes here. They decided to come back for the public episode, and I don't think that's a coincidence. It's sort of, they call them Donna Limelight is kind of the common nickname for Donna, right? Donna Limelight loves the limelight, and they're just a producer of the podcast, so they come up with what we have to talk about, right? That's in your job description, right, Donna? I'm calm. No, I'm perfectly calm. I was told repeatedly by the seniors, and I mentioned it's a cavalcade of lawyers here at What's Therapy Corp that sort of runs and dominates the Verbal Journal podcast institution, which, by the way, you can subscribe to these podcasts. I put it in the description prominently, but you can subscribe to this through becoming a member of the YouTube channel. I just post the episode every week to members, or the Patreon, whichever you're more comfortable with. And you don't have to do either. I'm allowed to say that to them. I'm getting these dirty looks now from everyone here. Okay, we're almost through the sort of meta part where I give you a look in behind the fourth wall and the behind the iron curtain here at Verbal Journal Podcast Productions. But I think people enjoy that. I think we get a lot of fan mail. And let's jump to the fan mail section. And I'm not supposed to call it fan mail. Okay. Let's jump to the mailbag section. Yeah, sorry about that. We try to not create a parasocial dynamic with the viewers here. And we do a very good job. Part of that is not calling people fans. We do a very good job with that. Such a good job that no one writes in. So if you'd like to write in, even if you don't become a member or a patron, but you'd like to write into the podcast just for us to read your message, which is kind of a weird thing to do. But you could write into verbaljournalpodcast@gmail.com. And you don't have to, and no one has to write in. It's fine. But yeah, that's the mailbag section, so people write in. But anyways, when we do get messages, they're often extremely excited about the sort of look into the the innards of the podcast. So that's why I keep doing that. So anyways, thank you for coming back from your break, Donna. There was even someone commenting weeks ago that they wanted to hear you on the podcast. I said that was impossible. Do you want to just relay any information about how your time off was, where you went? I remember the sort of idea was that you were finding yourself. Did you, I guess I'll just start there. Did you find, we'll do an interview segment. Okay. So this is an interview segment of my producer, Donna, coming back from their break. Donna, first question, did you find yourself? Okay. They said yes. What did that sort of entail in terms of what did that sort of mean on a functional, more material level, I guess? Okay, the food was good. Okay. And museums. Oh, okay. You stayed in a hostel. Really? Oh, okay. In Poland. Okay, we got a place. So that's interesting. You went to a hostel in Poland. Cool. Well, I guess I don't really know, like, do you meet people there, or how does that? And I guess the question I'm wondering, Donna, is like, what does it mean, like, when you find yourself in a hostel in Poland? Like, what does that mean? What is it about the experience that makes you feel a sense of finding yourself? Okay. So basically, Donna's trying to get across that it has something to do with the being in a new place and the novelty of the experience. And that kind of, when you have such new surroundings, you kind of see what's retained in your identity and what has persisted throughout the significant changes that you've experienced. And that helps you find the part of you that persists in changing circumstances. It's kind of what Donna's getting across. Okay, well that's very, and that's why it had to be 3 weeks is what they're saying now. Okay, I that part I don't fully understand. Yeah. Okay, so I guess the idea here being that you know, when you just go away for 1 week, you don't really get enough time, you know, to do that. And I would probably argue that there's, you know, other considerations like your job. As I mentioned last week, it's podcast season. So it would, you know, probably not the time as a producer. But hey, that's cool and nice to hear. You know, I did notice that because it is as I think I asked before, but I didn't get an answer. It is your job. It's part of your job, right? To like get the stuff that we talk about on the podcast. Yeah. And you've been back for a few days. So I definitely thought, you know, like you've been in the office. I've seen your name on the sign-in board. You know what I mean? Like, so I thought you were probably putting together the script for today. But you know, you and I are both looking at the script right now, right? You see it on your screen. I see it on my screen. Grinds My Gears segment, empty. Word of the Day segment, empty. Fantasy Desk. I don't have anything to say. I'm losing and I'm not going to make the playoffs. It's a nightmare. I've lost like 3 matchups in a row at least. I had a good season. I'll learn from it next year. You know, I had some pitcher injuries. Joe Musgrove, Yu Darvish. You know, some other really great aces. Anyways, Biography desk. Okay. Look, yeah, Donna, it's just that normally we would have okay, whatever. It's fine. We have something good in the art desk. So look forward to that. First biography desk, which should kind of be a sub desk of the art desk actually, because I only read biographies about artists. So actually I'm going to do that right now. Is that okay, Donna? Can I institute that? Biography desk is now a sub desk of the art desk. But I'll talk about it first just because we brought it up. I brought it up. I do a lot around here. I'm reading a biography called 9th Street Women. It's about I just got a notification. It's about 5 different painters in the abstract expressionist movement in New York in the 1940s and 50s and 30s for Lee Krasner. So Lee Krasner, Elaine de Kooning, Helen Frankenthaler, Grace Hardigan, and Joan Mitchell. And I don't forget any of them anymore. I would usually forget one because the book is so long and it introduces them so slowly and thoroughly that I really didn't even read about Joan Mitchell until like this, or last week, actually. I think I mentioned her on the previous podcast. She's, very interesting. And I mean, it's just always so interesting to get a look inside someone's lives and into the nitty gritty of how they rose to success as a painter, especially in the New York art scene at a time when it was literally taking over the art world, but just at the very beginning. It's a fascinating thing to read about. And it's like a 700 or 800 page book, but you don't even feel like it. It's just so good and interesting. And keep in mind, that's my thing I bring to the podcast. That's not something Donna prepares because I'm the one reading the biographies. You know, that's not something that anyone else prepares for me. So it's just kind of interesting the way it works, the hierarchy here. Okay, so cool. So the art desk segment that Donna did prepare for me, credit where credit's due here, is an art news article from 2 days ago. Art News is a major art publication. It's over 120 years old, and it is famous. Actually, it's famous in the book that I'm reading right now. Hold on, sorry, I'm just double checking this as I mention it. Yeah, so I'm reading about the rise to prominence of Art News, or it was the prominent one, but it also it really got with the times with abstract expressionism or whatever. It's hard to know what to call the movement. A lot of them didn't accept that title, but Yeah, I'm reading about Thomas Hess, who was close friends with Elaine de Kooning, and she wrote for Art News. She was a critic as well as painter. And he led Art News, and Art News is just a major publication. So anyways, this article, world's oldest known cave painting featuring a mysterious pig found in Indonesia. So it's the world's oldest known cave painting found in Indonesia, and it features a mysterious pig. And if you look at the image, I mean, let's just say it's a little bit worn by time. It says narrative cave art in Indonesia by 51,200 years ago. I'm sorry, what? So I'm looking at this image, and then the caption is an image of the cave painting from, quote, narrative cave art in Indonesia by 51,200 years ago, end quote, in the journal Nature. I just don't understand the quoted part of that sentence. The quote is narrative cave art in Indonesia by 51,200 years ago. I just don't understand the word by, but okay. So you can sort of see the pig figure. I mean, I guess, yeah. I mean, it could be, I guess if they know that this is a painting, then I could see that being a pig. This is perfect for a non-video podcast. Great idea, Donna. No, you knew it was not going to be a video podcast. Don't give me that. So this article says some 51,200 years ago on the ceiling of a limestone cave in the Indonesian island of Sulawesi. Oh, I remember reading about that island in the book, The Jakarta Method, I believe. Or maybe I'm just confusing the name with another island, because there are a lot of islands in Indonesia. I believe there's over 1,000, but I could be wrong. A wild pig was painted with crude red pigment standing at peace beside three human-like figures. Let me scroll up. Yeah, I'm having a hard time with that human-like figure part, but I'll take your word for it. It looks like an abstract painting, but it was not. It was a representational painting that now, through the workings of nature and through the addition of nature as a creative facet in the work, it is now abstract. So it's now the oldest known cave painting, surpassing the previous record holder by 10,000 years. And the study published in Nature, let's see if this has the weird title with the word by. Yeah, it does. This article with so many authors. Wow. Whoa, they got so many authors on this. This is like really legit. Narrative cave art in Indonesia by 51,200 years ago. What? Why did they write it that way? Wow. So they did a novel application of a solution uranium series analysis of calcite deposits overlying rock art in the limestone caves. Oh, wow. Our findings show that figurative portrayals of anthropomorphic figures and animals have a deeper origin in the history of modern human image making than recognized to date, as does their representation in composed scenes. Wow, that's really fascinating, I gotta be honest. The method is a very interesting improvement, and it should revolutionize rock art dating worldwide. Is rock art dating where you are dating a rock and you go to a museum or something? Or I don't know. Yes, whatever. I'll back to the workshop on that one. According to the study, the scene in the cave, it features a pig measuring 36 inches by 15 inches. A small pig. Let me tell you, I've seen a lot of pigs. That is a small pig. You could hold that pig. Several smaller images of pigs were also found in the caves and were similarly dated using a laser to assess a crystal called calcium carbonate that develops organically on the pigment. Barring any future discoveries, the paintings represent the earliest example of narrative storytelling in visual art. What's the storytelling? One pig became two pigs? That's a pretty good story. I don't know. You know, this isn't my aesthetic, to be honest. I think this is a little bit derivative if I had to use any word for this painting, I think it's a little bit derivative. So this article in our news says the relationship between the humanoids and the pig, however, is still unknown. So they say humanoids. They're not comfortable saying humans, but they are comfortable saying pig. Now, why is that? What's the politics of that? Two of these figures are holding objects of some kind, and at least one figure seems to be reaching towards the pig's face. Another figure is positioned directly above the pig's head in an upside-down position. Oh, you're really stretching here. They're like, yeah, no, one of them is upside down. The other's like reaching for the pig's face. And the other one is bent in a position a figure could never possibly be bent in. No, I'm just joking. But, you know, I don't know. I'm sure they've looked closely at it. Whatever, you know. Okay, so now Indonesia has the oldest cave paintings instead of Spain. Good. Take that, Spain. Oh, it does say that this discovery of very old cave art in Indonesia, that's a Robert Wyatt song, drives home the point that Europe was not the birthplace of cave art, as has long been assumed. It also suggests that storytelling was a much older part of human history, and the history of art in particular, than previously recognized. Okay. All right. That'd be interesting if art started any other way, I feel like, right? Like, I mean, that sort of does make the most sense that art would start with storytelling. Like, it'd be weird if the first art was abstract. But then again, would it be weird or would it be less weird for the first art to be abstract? You know, someone just like making like if you imagine someone 60,000 years ago, okay, and is the reason we don't have anything from before that that it wears down, or why is that exactly? It's not something to do with human evolution. I mean, I am sure humans were just as creative 200,000 years ago as 50,000 years ago, right? I mean, I don't think this article says. Let me see if the journal article says. Hold on. The full article is available. Over the past few decades, it's hard to date. It was KA 1,000 years ago. They talk about the Spain. It's attributed to Neanderthals, but the dating evidence has been questioned for that. Up until now, the earliest evidence for figurative art had comprised a naturalistic painting of a Sulawesi warty pig. Oh. So it was also a pig, huh? Ancient humans had pigs on their mind. So I'm trying to skim for this, because I'm trying to just figure out, why it is that we can't. I feel like it's got to be something to do with dating techniques and rocks, because obviously, they're talking about some other cave art, and they're like, these figures are interpreted as representations of therianthropes, which are composite human animal beings. Therianthropes. The enigmatic scene may represent a hunting narrative, while the prominent portrayal of therianthropic figures implies that the artwork reflects imaginative storytelling. Yeah, implies is doing a lot of work in that. The rock art scene at Liang Bulu Sipong 4 can now be demonstrated to be at least 4,040 years older at 48,000 years ago. On the basis of previous results, it appears that our mechanical microsampling approach either fortuitously avoided areas of diagenesis, or that the averaging of microexcavated arbitrary layers rendered any localized diagenesis inconsequential to the overall age calculation for these layers. Wow, this is a throwback to like the first few episodes of the pod when I would read journal articles and I had no idea what else to do on the pod. I didn't have any running bits. I didn't have any people doing an extremely small amount of work to contribute to the podcast. But anyways, so that's interesting. I don't know exactly why we don't have anything from earlier, but that's the art desk. Cool. The Reginald the Data Guy desk, you don't have anything for us. Do you want to now go into that? What's going on there? Okay. So he thought Donna was also... He's trying to jump on the thing I'm mad about. He's like, yeah, I also thought Donna was going to be doing the work. It's like, dude, I've literally been saying that. That doesn't excuse you. I'm doing work. They were supposed to do work, and you were supposed to do work. So Donna doesn't do your job Reginald's supposed to gather data. I guess he never had to be a running character, but we like gave him a desk. Can I maybe take away his desk? We'll give you one more week. If you don't have anything next week, no more desk. I'm making a note of it. Because if I don't make a note of it, no one else will. Okay. But what we do have is a new desk, and this is by request. Thank you, Simply Snaps, friend of the channel, amazing video essayist. She commented and was like, look, the screen time test. The screen time desk. The screen time test. I don't know. The screen time desk. Why did I say test? It's not I don't have to take a test. I'm just reading a report. So the screen time report, Snaps basically missed this because it was a beloved part of the podcast. So she was like, hey, could you please reinstitute the screen time desk? I used to read this riveting report of how I've used my screen time on my phone. And it was super fun because you'd never know what to expect. And there would be so much interesting influence. This is before Reginald, and this is data that was kind of made us think maybe we should hire a data guy because the data is going so well. And then I did stop reading it for a while because I just felt like, I wanted to make people really want it. So, screen time desk is back, and let me tell you my report. So, for this past week, my daily average screen time was 2 hours and 3 minutes on my phone. And that's messages and Chrome and Patreon, because I've been watching videos by people I support on Patreon, such as Daniel Henschel, who I've mentioned recently. I find his work very stimulating and good. And so that was the screen time report. That, sometimes you get a little insight. Oh, yeah, another thing I watched on my phone is an art thing. I watched some talk about zombie formalism because I'm trying to figure out if there are what the current painting movements are. I'm just curious, we used to have abstract expressionism, as I was talking about, and there's cubism, there's impressionism, movements that totally rocked how people look at painting, because I just like painting. And, zombie formalism is not on the same level, but it's just a name that was attributed to a sort of movement. And so I listened to a panel discussion, and it was basically about, is this even a thing? And the guy who coined the term was there, and then these two other people. And the two other people were cool. The guy who coined it was such the classic, old white guy art critic, who was overly full of himself, gave this long sort of rambling introduction, everything he oozed self-importance. And then as the thing got an hour into it, he started making genuinely weird comments. He was they were discussing the fact that this so-called movement, zombie formalism, which isn't a thing, and none of the artists they're talking about would ever say they're a zombie formalist. It's just it's a weird term to try to describe art that is I don't even could fit on could kind of work on anyone's fancy walls of their house, but is also pushing boundaries, but not in an overly extreme way. But it's also abstract mostly, but has some formalist features and has some classical appeal at the same time. But basically, it's basically not a thing at all, and is not a category. And one of the good comments from the audience, the questions was, how is there any modern abstract artist, any contemporary abstract artist that wouldn't be a zombie formalist? What is who? It's basically a Barnum statement or whatever. It's everything would fit into this. So what are we talking about? But and then at one point they're talking about the fact that it's a lot of men artists, and it seems to be dominated by men. And why is that? Is it just, art market sales being dominated by men, a lot of expensive buyers of contemporary art being men, and having a bias towards male artists, which there's been obviously for a long time, and that's like slowly changing. But there's like huge biases towards supporting male artists and just basic sexism of like treating art like it's more important if it's done by men. And this guy who coined the term zombie formalism, like Walter something, which by the way, he referenced this famous critic, Clement Greenberg, like twice at least, at which, it's like, yeah, you want to be him. And he was also like, he was like a shitty guy in the 50s. Like you can't be a shitty 50s white guy in 2024. He barely got away with it in the 50s. Anyways, this guy who coined the zombie form was like, whatever, I'm sure he's a fine guy, but he's just so full of himself. And he was saying, he made some weird comment, really a non sequitur. He would just sort of say non sequiturs because he couldn't read the room and didn't have a good sense of the flow of the conversation. But he just at one point said, oh, isn't it interesting that women who are artists who become famous depict stereotypically masculine subject matter? And it's like, oh, that would be interesting if it was true, but you are completely pulling that out of your ass, because his examples, like one of them was horses. Okay, fine. You want to say horses are masculine? Okay, that's a little bit Freudian and like stereotypical, but sure. Okay, whatever. You're making a stupid, and I know that he was being slightly tongue in cheek, but not tongue in cheek enough. And one of the other examples was skulls. Excuse me, skulls are masculine? What? I don't actually think skulls are masculine, dude. So I think you're telling on yourself. And when he finished that stupid point, which was like, again, a 25% joke, but he like only 25%. One of his co-panelists, the one who was really smart and made a lot of sense, made some really good points about a variety of subjects related to this. But he basically responded by saying, you're going to get in a lot of trouble for that, or like they're going to tear you apart about that, which was really true. But yeah, his good points were sort of, well, he was jumping off some true points the first guy made about, the market is sort of what drives demand more than movements. And he was sort of accenting that maybe, we don't even have that many movements much nowadays because it's more about market whims than artistic movements. Which I think is a very interesting point. And also, he was making the point that Instagram and what's safe to post on Instagram drives a lot of people's perceptions and aesthetics when related to creating. But the points I love the most, he talked about the amount of work people put into art being a factor in the quality of the art, which is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, It's not like objectively better to work 100 hours than 5 hours on a painting, but maybe, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like there's no objective quality with art, but like if there was, I feel like it would be something like that, Okay. Sports desk segment, page not found. The link I sent, the link in the doc, the page, that's never happened before. So ESPN deleted the link that we were going to watch. I don't know how to find it. That's never happened before in the history of the podcast. I'm Googling the link. Oh, okay. By Googling the link, I found what it was. It was the Phillies recording the first 135 triple play since 1929. So Phillies are a baseball team, and a triple play is when you get 3 outs in one play. And 135 is a specific type of triple play. All the players have numbers in the field, so just to keep track of them. And 135 is pitcher, first base, third base. So the ball is hit. The pitcher catches the hit, so the batter is out, and then the runner on first is too far to second, so he gets thrown out by throwing to first. And then the runner on third never tagged third, so he's got to get back to third, but he doesn't realize that, so they throw it to third. So yeah, kind of bad for the Detroit Tigers, like a little bit clownish. You don't get caught in that. Like that was a mistake, you know what I mean? But still very cool. Hasn't been done since 1929. You know what else happened in 1929? The stock market crash was sort of the implication there. The chess desk is optional, and I don't want to do it today. There's nothing. I don't feel like it. Let's do a patron shout out. So if you want to be part of the patron shout out, you can support on Patreon or YouTube members. I'm going to shout out the people who support this channel just so you can get an idea of kind of the type of smart, cool people that you could be one of if you wanted to support the channel with money, by paying money to me. So, you know, I get a little bit of money each month from this, and if I got more, it would frankly be nice. I'd like it. I could always use more money. I need more money, frankly. You know, I work, I have my job, but you know, I could always use more money because, you know, it's helpful to buy things. I usually like to buy things. Okay. So first, let's go to the Patreon members. Thank you, Oliver, I'm going to go from new to old because that's more likely they're listening. Thank you, Oliver and Garen. Thank you, MK. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Scott. I like everyone to get their thank you, you know. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, V4 Nilla. Thank you, Anastasios. Thank you, TV Ghost. Thank you, Linguist. Thank you, King. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Miles. Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, Bozo. Thank you, Died Famous. Thank you, Redgrove. Thank you, Platinum Sarge. Thank you, Rabid Dog 008. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Ian. Okay, not everyone needs their own thank you. No, all right. I kind of like it. Thank you, Irene. Thank you, MJ. Thank you, GA45er Swit. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Madeline. Thank you, John. Thank you, Dependency Injector. Thank you, Mr. Moxie. Some of these people have given me like a lot of money. Thank you, Brent. Thank you, Molly. Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Luca. Thank you, Isaiah. Thank you, Modest Maoist. Thank you, Gunther. Thank you, Thulusaurus Rex. Thank you, Miles. And thank you, User. User's given me $320, and they were the first supporter. They've given $4. They've given $8 a month for a long time. Wow. Thank you, User. And the YouTube members, you know, also very nice. And keep in mind, some of these people were gifted memberships, so they're just kind of lucky to be included, frankly. They didn't even make the expenditure. I think. I don't know. Is that how it works, right? They show up here? Let's see. Anyways, let me thank everyone anyways, because I guess they'll have to... How does that work? If you get gifted a membership, it must not renew, right? That would be like illegal. Anyways, memberships. Yeah, that was great though. I did a live stream recently and someone donated like a lot. You know, I got like $50 or $60 or more or something. So let me thank these memberships. See more YouTube's, you know, I just want to see the members. I just want to see my members. I just want to thank my members and I don't know how. It used to be right here. Okay. Thank you, Baba, Cubert, Raven, PSA, Apple, Boat. Thank you, DGA Trucks. Thank you, Jonas, Gigi, Sadie. Yeah, thank you, Sadie, for gifting all these memberships. Thank you, David, Strawberry Storm, Now So Pato Poha. I hope that doesn't mean something messed up. Thank you, Zine Game. Thank you, Tom, Alex, 7 Dogs in a Suit, Exotic Prawn, Richie Ruggs, Lucia, Bing, Micro Kimmy, Eggy, Eva, Andre, Jifa, Simply Snaps, Finesse Cat, Jaden, Trusty, Ghost, Hector, Hollow Moon, Pit Inhabitant, and 39% Weird. Y'all are the best. Keep supporting if you want to. Feel free to not. No big deal. And that's probably about it for now. So if you enjoyed this podcast, that's nice. And I enjoyed doing it, so it was kind of mutually beneficial. So I'm glad about that. I'll talk at you next week, probably, and we'll continue the dialogue, this fascinating bi-directional dialogue that we have. And from everyone here at Verbal Journal Productions Incorporated Podcast Corporated, Thank you for listening, and have a nice time. Okay, goodbye.
This is a podcast or something like that.